What's up, dudemen and dudegirls? My name is Dozer and this is my first video ever. I'll be honest, I didn't want to create this video because I was somewhat ashamed of the topic, but then I thought about not doing it and it was fairly worse. I don't care anymore, I'm a fan of furry visual novels. So, what is the best way to introduce myself in this community in a way that no one will ever hate me and disagree with me? A subjective tier list, of course, what could be wrong with that? No, but seriously, I'm just a dude in the world and my opinion doesn't matter at all. But if you disagree with whatever I say, I invite you to write on the commentary boxes where I'll be reading you and maybe you can make me change my mind. It's important to say that I have read a lot of visual novels before and I am only gonna talk in this video about 15 of those. If I would talk about all of them, this video will be endless and there are a lot of them that I don't have anything important to say at all. I read most of these visual novels a long time ago, but I did some research and I tried to create some objective points about all of them. Without talking more crap, let's begin this journey, and talking about journeys, Far Beyond the World comes in the deep part of this tier list. I cannot express enough the quantity of time that I invested on this, and I almost can't remember anything. Only the bad times I passed with it. That's how unmemorable all the story is. First of all, passing by the cliché of every nowadays visual novel, you wake up in the middle of a forest, you are kidnapped by a handsome, big, taller and kinda dumb dude, and then you fall in love in the most rushed way ever. And don't get me wrong, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but when you create all your premise in this and all the other parts about the lore and the creation of other characters in the story are not well thought nor relevant at all, everything eventually falls in the most boring and confusing way. But if I had to say something good about this visual novel, it's the way that it created those political movements. I can tell that the creator liked them very much. The way that you can't even talk with other people because that could collapse a war, that's interesting. Again, maybe I'm not saying accurate things about this visual novel. I have seen that it has changed a lot in a recent update. Well, recent in 2024 I guess. But I couldn't make myself to reread it again. I did not enjoy it like I think I was supposed to. Next, let's start with the good part. This visual novel actually made me feel socially awkward reading it. Haha. The way that everything is so 2017 with the ways that the main character texts, talk in a quirky and random way and breaks the fourth wall every now and then really makes me want to stop reading. I guess that I am not the targeted audience in this one. It could be pretty fun at times, but I cannot stand anything that this forking little cat has to say. And that ghost scene? What the hell was that? Suddenly everything took a twist that felt so underwhelming and felt like it was created over the march. Also, the way that it isn't finished or well developed yet doesn't help their case. What can I say? Maybe I'm normier than I thought. Talking about normies, we have Adastra! Woohoo! Okay. I'm going to receive a lot of dislikes with this one. But what can I say? I'm one of those dudes who did not enjoy Adastra. I mean, it has his thing at being one of the predecessors of all furry visual novels. They invented the trope. I have seen people compare this one with Far Beyond the World and it's honestly scary the way that it is true. I can see a lot of inspiration from a novel to another, but my biggest problem with Adastra is that the main character is just a vessel. He doesn't have any kind of personality whatsoever, and I know this is kinda normal at this point, but it's incredible that the way that he just exists. Dude, you live in the earth for so long and we don't know any hobby of yours? What about your family, work, pets, favorite food, something? I have seen that video of Kid Ballard talking about how this was his realization, and I can understand why. But I am not here to talk about the weight that a visual novel can have over an audience. I'm here to talk about how much did I enjoy it when I read it. All the visual novel without the tension with Amicus and the main character just falls flat. The world doesn't feel real and the characters do not have any kind of deepness. Oh, and don't even make me start with that scene where Amicus is cheating on the main character. Not cool at all, dude. Where are the decisions? You can make a choice something in, I don't know, 10,000 words, and the worst part is that it doesn't change the story in the bare minimum. But yeah, I could talk a lot more about this one, but I also don't want to. This novel has been talked a lot already. I'm sorry, Adastra fans. I was just like you. Then I started reading more visual novels, and I understand that Adastra is not a phenomenon. Next, we have the C tier. Here we have those visual novels that I enjoyed. Not completely, but a part of them were pretty nice at the time. First one in this tier is Human Cargo. This was the first visual novel that I've read. And I know it is not that known, but I couldn't give them more than a C tier. It has a good amount of action with a love story around, and each character looks and talks completely different from another, which I have to say is a very good writing. But my main problem is that it feels rushed. I understand that it is because this novel is shorter than average. It's not a bad thing that a novel is short, but you can't develop an amazing bond in only 2 weeks with neither of these dudes. But I can say that those action parts, when everything is falling apart, were pretty good. Next, Shelter. Don't get me wrong, Shelter is an amazing visual novel, it's just not for me. The way that it is constructed, that you have to repeat it so many times to get a different ending, made me feel like sometimes I was doing nothing, because at the end I will have to restart the day anyways. It's a pretty good concept, it's just not my cup of coffee. Also, the characters were pretty flat, and I'm talking about you, Max. But yeah, I love the action scenes and the visuals and sounds amazing. Just as I was saying, it's pretty good but not for me. Next on B tier, we have all those visual novels that I liked a lot, but have a big flaw that I can't ignore. I'm not a school delinquent lover, but I Want Out is a pretty silly good visual novel. I know that I was talking about short visual novels in a bad way, but this was a pretty good one. I know that it was made like a jam game, but it is honestly so funny and cute at the same time. There is not much to talk about this visual novel though, and I feel like it is a mistake to put this higher than any other visual novels that I've talked before. But the more I think of it, the less mistakes and bad things I see. The only reason why this is not higher is that it is so short to create a real impact on me. If this could have more chapters though, this would be a banger, no doubt. Talking about banger, the banging here. No, I promised YouTube that this video will be safe for work. But yeah, extracurricular activities comes next. And the amount of banging here is a lot. But yeah, the characters are pretty well written. Darius, Dozer, Chester, Harold, Spencer, and later on the new added Dwayne and Richard are all pretty good main love interests. Each character has its own flaws, and that honestly makes them better, like they feel like real people that you could find at your university or work. Also, the way that you are passing every character arc makes you feel pretty invested on them. You want them to become better, you want them to stop suffering. It's honestly pretty good. And the date ideas that you can take from these are a lot. Invite your partner to go to the cinema, run in terrain, walk in a park at night to watch the stars, make paintings to each other, cook, play video games, go to a strip club, hide from a crazy ex-wife with a knife, look how your friend is smashed into the ground because someone messed up their brakes. Maybe that's enough date ideas. But yeah, even though all those things that I mentioned before were pretty exciting, the biggest problem that this visual novel has is that it gets pretty boring at times. I know that you are trying to know the guy, right? But if you get out with him all the days, you eventually run out of topics to talk about. Then the conversations feel pretty pointless. And this happens a lot. Suddenly the game makes excuses to stop going to tennis practice or work because it's raining. The perfect opportunity to cuddle up with the guy who you want to bang. Only that they have used this resource like 20 times in different roads by now. Next, we have the A tier. Incredibly good visual novels. I have nothing bad to say about these ones, and I will recommend them to anyone. Starting with Undefeated. It's the perfect way to write a protagonist. This dude is incredible. Obviously, he is passing for one of the most stressing and traumatic events in his life, and he reacts exactly as a normal person would. Not toxic positivity, not excessiveness crying, he just is lost in not knowing what else to do. This is the best example in "We are not the problem is the system." And they do an amazing job at feeling yourself desperate with the protagonist. Like, there's no way out every single time, but at the end, it all feels so complete and well thought. I will try to not spoiler you guys, but it's a very good, rewarding visual novel. And it's finished! Definitely a weird case between visual novels. You know what is not finished and still made a spot in A tier? Pervader. I hate this visual novel so much, like you have no idea. I can't believe that I was so invested in this fucking story. Read over 15 hours, made my own theories, and joined the Discord servers to talk with the community to notice that it was abandoned. Okay, I know that it is on hiatus, but we know that this is bullcrap. I can't believe that this amazing story with magic, fantasy, world building, map, lore, and all other stuff is not even relevant anymore because of the creator vanished. This amazing story left me thinking and rooting for the trio in that crazy journey to find a cure. I'm guessing now that they have died, since years ago was the last update that virus has already spread and is harvesting out of their bones. If this visual novel will be finished, it will be an easy S tier, but since it's not, I guess that I just have to suffer like the rest of us. You know who else suffered for 1,000 years? Asterion in Minotaur Hotel. These deserve to be in A tier for their amazing story building that the creator has done. The way that he keeps introducing characters now and then and they do not feel forced whatsoever, it's so refreshing. Also, the pacing in this is very slow, in a way that it's like torture, but I guess that is the point. It's a very slow burn that feels like I'm burning in a bonfire. Not pun intended. Anyways, the way that the role that you choose at the start of the game actually helps you and gives you a lot of information and different kind of points of view, it's amazing. I think I chose leadership the first time that I played, and it helped me a lot in a lot of scenarios. It almost made me feel like I was playing something like Disco Elysium. Also, the management minigame is actually pretty good. The way that you can choose the clothes in the stereo as the story goes on adds up a lot of character in this. If I have to say a single bad thing about this visual novel, is that sometimes the story could feel pretty slow, but in a way that it is exasperating. But I think that is the way that was intended. Do you know what other story is also a slow burn and have incredible twists? Remember the Flowers. I cannot express enough the way that this visual novel had me on the edge with every single twist revealed. I will try to make a review of this without so many spoilers, but this is the primary example of greatness. The main character actually feels like a person, not only an empty vessel. He takes his own actions, thinks his own thoughts, and fight for what he believes is good. You can argue a lot if that new hairstyle that he did himself is better or worse than before, but you can't argue that adds a lot of personality to Cyrus. Also, the love interest in this one really feels like a secondary part of this visual novel, and at the end, we all know who is better for Cyrus. The only problem why I didn't put this in the S tier is because I couldn't keep reading because it wasn't complete. I think it's not complete right now either, but this kind of story is one of those that can be easily ruined with a bad ending, so I'm expecting to see what more has to offer. Now, starting with the S tier, here we have only the best visual novels that I've read. These ones have an special space in my head and they meant a lot to me. First, to no one's surprise, we have Echo and his predecessor, Arceus, who are technically the same piece of art. And oh my god, all the lore, mystery, body horror, psychological horror, romance, fantasy, fiction, and a lot of other topics are very present in this visual novel. The fact that everything forms an elaborate system that is connected with other routes, it's perfect, but it doesn't end there because each route works like a piece in a giant puzzle that is resolved, and technically not, when you put everything together. I love Chase as a protagonist. I love the scenarios, the music, the sprites, the flaws, that weird animation in Jenna's route, the train, and that forking lake. Every route has amazing parts that make me goosebump. Leo, that train. Jenna, the van. Carl, the crawl space. Flynn, the mines. TJ, what the fork did just happen in that lake? Archie's is very connected to it too, but without routes and choices to make, they did a pretty good at creating this story and a scenario where everything falls in the place that they want it to. If you want me talking about what do I think about each route with spoilers involved, just tell me and I will work on that. Next, we have Demons Within. The visual novel really did surprise me. Resnick is an amazing main character. I love that his personality is well defined and the story begins in the moment that changed his life. So, it makes clear that he already had friends and a personality before the spectator started reading. My favorite thing about this visual novel is the way that all is built. The way that the text displays in the middle of the screen, and when some scenes start you can create a new scenarios using your powers or not. It's honestly so good. All the choices matter, and if you don't understand something related to the story, well, this game has the option to click that new word and read it about what that means. Also, the fights are very well thought and makes you believe that you are part of it. This game doesn't treat you like you are some kind of a spectator, no. You control the story, you are the main protagonist who is messing around with the life of Resnick. You should check it out now, and don't be fooled. This game is much more than just horny slop. And finally, to end it all, we have the visual novel that I am currently obsessed with. We are talking about Soulcreek. I know that I have already talked about the cliche of being a male character who suddenly wakes up in the middle of the forest and now he has to live with no memory and is falling in love with the dude who kidnapped him. But honestly, I will let that slide here. Soulcreek for me is much more than only romance with demons and stuff. This visual novel had me in the edge of my bed for days trying to understand why the world evolved in this way. What happened to humans? Are demons even real? What is this affliction that everyone keeps talking about? Well, all of those questions are going to have an answer eventually, and when you see what it is, I promise you that your head will be rolling. I love the integration of technology in a dystopia where everything is ruined. I love the existence of Byte. The visuals in this, amazing. The music, the blood, the creatures, the animation, the characters, the jokes, the sprites, everything. And I'm so excited to check it out the next part of this visual novel because this one is finished. It's perfect. But yeah, that was all my rampage and I'm sorry if I said something that could offend you guys. Just like I told you before, this is my first video ever and all these opinions are personal. So I invite you to comment on it. I'll answer to each one of your comments below and maybe I will enjoy it more with your perspectives. So my name is Dozer and I hope to see you dudemen and dudegirls later.